Urgency, to be quite honest with you. There's no substitute for young talent. You don't have a chance to fill a quality defense unless you're stout inside and up front.
Jeff, I apologize.
Yeah, thank you.
Went to Oregon. So Mike Tomlin wanted to address defense rather than quarterback. What was your take on that?
I think Derek Harmon's going to be a fantastic pro. He's been one of my favorites. And he's 6'5", 315. He had 50 pressures last year from defensive tackle, which is hard to do in college. He got better from where he was at Michigan State to where he was at Oregon to where he's going to be drafted. I get why the Steelers did this. Like, this is my dream choice for the Chiefs. If he was there at 31, that's what I wanted the Chiefs to take.
So listen, I love the player. I agree with Greg, or sorry, Jeff.
Okay.
I always do that because Greg always sits there.
Missouri and Oregon.
Yeah. That I think he's a really good player, and I would have liked the Chiefs to potentially draft him. He was in, I think, one of the mocks to the Chiefs. I hate it for the Steelers. Good player is a good player. I get that. I've used this comp before, and I'll use it again. We always say when a quarterback gets paid, like, hey, we're going to ask you to do a little bit more with less. You're not necessarily going to have the star receivers or all of it. Mike Tomlin is a defensive-minded head coach who's about to have the highest-paid defensive player ever in T.J. Watt on his side of the ball. Has Minkah Fitzpatrick, who they paid a first-round pick in a trade for, on his side of the ball. Joey Porter Jr., who was a high second-round pick. You've got to water the other side of the grass at some point, and it feels to me, Brew, like the Steelers doubling down on this is what has prevented us from having a losing season, while not acknowledging this is what's also created one of the longest playoff losing streaks or playoff winless droughts or whatever in the NFL right now.
No, I agree. I mean, look, defensively, we know they're going to be good, and I think this kid will be great too. This is the kid that wowed everybody with the 4'9", 40-yard because he's 300-plus pounds. Yeah, he'll be good. But offensively, I mean, I guess they're strengthening the defense because we're only going to score 9 points a game. I mean, that's what they're saying. And if this was the route they're going, they clearly don't like any of the quarterbacks. They should have kept Russ or even Justin Fields if they wanted. But they could have kept Russ, drafted a kid like this, and maybe been a little better. Russ, a second year in the offense. And I even am feeling, I mean, it tells you how much they weren't impressed with Shedeur. If he's there, if the quarterbacks are still there when they pick again, part of me feels like they might take like Milroe over Shedeur.
Okay. So I don't want to get too lost in the second round, if they're going to draft a quarterback, because I'm making this video before the second round pick. So I don't want to start talking about that, because by the time you're watching this video, that's probably already been decided. But yeah, listen. I agree with what Nick is saying, where you got to water both sides of the field here, and I agree, but I take a slightly different approach, because if there was no one that you wanted offensively, especially at the quarterback position, well then you don't just draft. Like Nick wanted them to draft Shedeur Sanders, and it's like, if you don't think Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback, you don't just draft him just because. You don't do it. But they obviously continue to go all in on defense. And if that's the case, if that's what you're going to do, then your defense needs to truly be elite and special and suffocating and dominant and something that we all just talk about. Oh my goodness, this defense is elite. And the truth is, it's been pretty good. I mean, very good, but not like next level. In 2022, it was the 10th ranked defense. And then in 23, it was the 6th. And then in 2024, it was the 8th. That's not good enough. If you're truly going all in on defense, it needs to be first, second, or third, fourth, definitely just top 5 every time. And those points matter. You have these other teams like the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Chargers, the Broncos, they'll be averaging 17 points, 18 points. And those are the difference in the games. Right? If you're Mr. Defense and you're going all in on defense, well then the Chiefs, who have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid as their head coach, they should not have a better defense. The Eagles, with Fangio, who just hired a coordinator, who the Miami Dolphins fired, in year 1, can't have a better defense. The Chargers, Harbaugh, year 1, better defense. You can't do it. So that to me is like, then the pressure is on for you to have a truly elite defense. Truly. And then there's just no excuses. None. Zero. You're the defensive head coach. You're the one that's pulling these strings. You're the one that's working with the GM and ownership closer than anyone else. I mean, you had... This is just now for points allowed. You technically had the Lions with all their injuries. Technically were better than them. The Packers, the Vikings, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Eagles, the Chargers. That would be acceptable if you were also building an awesome offense. But you don't, right? You don't have the quarterback. You keep trying to like go all over the place with that. But like the fact that a team like the Chiefs or the Eagles, the Chargers, like, to me, that is where I then become more frustrated with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's where then I say, like, that's where the pressure is on then. If you're going to continue to make the defense the priority, well, then your team truly needs to be at the top. And then actually stepping up in the games that matter most defensively. You know, giving up 27 to the Eagles, giving up 34 to the Ravens, 29 to the Chiefs. Why does it not want to give me the playoffs? Is it listed in 25? Nope. In the playoffs. Giving up 28, but 299 yards. That will forever be one of the craziest games I saw. 50 carries. And just like no chance at stopping them whatsoever. When the year before that, the Chiefs held them to 17 points. To 10 points, excuse me. To 10 points. The Bills holding them to 25 points. You know, the same team. Still running. A lot less. Holding them to 25. Like, again, when you go all in on defense, you can't have other teams that are not going all in on defense be better than you at defense against similar teams. You know, if you're going to be a defensive-led team, then you got to be a defensive-led team. So, yeah. It'll be interesting to see, and obviously, like I said, I'm making this video before the rest of the draft, so it'll be interesting to see where they draft. I don't know. I get some of the logic where, okay, there's some people that say, okay, listen, I don't want Shador in the first round, but I'll take him in the second or something. Or like, I like someone, you also hear this a lot during the draft, like, oh, you know, like Ashton Genty, you know, is a great pick, you know, at 20, but not 10 or something. And it's like, you know, I see some of the logic to that, but I think that's when we kind of get lost a little bit too much in it. And it's like, I think at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, they're like the player or you don't. And make no mistake about it, like a second round draft pick can still be something substantial and special. So if you don't really like Shador, I'm not so convinced that you then just like draft a quarterback just because you're like, well, we kind of need a quarterback. Like, again, if that's the case, then I'm so much more open to the idea of like, you go all in on this draft of continuing to build out your roster. Maybe you can continue to double down on your defense. You now have that defense infused with young talent. And then next year, you put yourself in a position to draft the quarterback, even if you have to give up a ton of draft capital to move up. You know, you got to mortgage the future a little bit. You have the young team. You have the young defense. You have some replacements for some of your older players. And now you kind of bet the farm, so to speak, on a quarterback in what should be a quarterback-heavy draft. And maybe you don't find your Jaden Daniels, but you get your Bo Nix. You know? Maybe you don't find your, you know, Josh Allen, your Lamar Jackson, but you find your Justin Herbert. Heck, even your Tua Tagovailoa. And it's just like that alone now puts you obviously in a massively, significantly better situation, because as long as you now continue to build up that defense, you actually build that defense to being a top defense, and now you kept the weapons happy enough that you have on offense. You especially if you also now, you know, kind of up your run game here because you lost Najee Harris. And there you go. You got a young quarterback, should have a great run game, a great defense, true offensive weapons. As long as your O-line isn't, you know, just a screen door, then you're good to go. You might not win a playoff game again this coming year, but you're setting yourself up to be in a significantly better situation in 26 and 27. And this is what I keep saying in all my videos. And if you watch all my videos, I'm sorry, you keep hearing me repeat myself. It just is what it is. I look at these drafts on like a 1 to 2 to 3 year timeline. It's what's the plan starting from today, from year 1, 2, and 3. So, but yeah, it's just, again, at the end of the day, if you're going to continue to go all in on defense, then you got to go all in on defense, and then it better show up, and it better show up when it matters. And we haven't seen that recently for the Steelers. And if the defense isn't going to show up, and you don't have a great offense or even just a quarterback, then you're clearly not going to win games. So yeah, it'll be curious. I'm curious to see how this pans out, and I am curious to see what they, you know, who they draft in the following rounds. That'll be telling, honestly. I am curious what they do in that second round pick, but like I said, I won't talk about that now because you're watching this and the second round has already taken place. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Pittsburgh Steelers continuing to double down on defense? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.